but I just want to look at some scriptures surrounding it that might give us some possible ideas. So the context of the time was, they had a period of time where they were waiting and waiting for their Messiah to come. We know, for example, in Luke 2 that we find Simeon and Anna who are in the temple, and they are waiting for, I think it describes it as the consolation of Israel. As you're all turning there, we can read it properly. So it's Luke 2, verse 25. And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon, and the same man was just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the Holy Spirit that he should not see death before he had seen the Lord's Christ. So at this time they were anticipating someone coming who was going to be their Messiah. And so, possibly for that reason, the disciples would not want to countenance the idea that this man who was coming to be their Messiah would somehow be cruelly taken away from them. So that's one possibility. Let's just have a look at some of the references that do tell us that Jesus was to be crucified, because yes, there is prophecy in the Old Testament, but on a number of occasions Jesus tells them exactly what's going to happen. So, for example, Matthew chapter 16. So Matthew chapter 16 and verse 21. From that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Now, I don't know how he could have said it any clearer as to what was going to happen to him. But for some reason, they didn't seem to understand or want to acknowledge what was going on. Verse 22, then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto thee. So another suggestion possibly would be that he didn't want his disciples to fully understand what was going to happen, otherwise they may try and prevent him. But then Jesus, he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou art an offence unto me, for thou savourest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. So maybe there was some fault in their understanding, or in what they thought, that meant that Jesus didn't want to fully reveal unto them what was going to happen. But then, having said that, he's just done that in verse 21, so that doesn't really add up either. What else have we got to say? Matthew chapter 17, so over in the next chapter, verse 23, again it's just another time where Jesus reveals unto them what's going to happen. Verse 22, while they abode in Galilee, Jesus said unto them, The Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and the third day he shall be raised again. And they were exceeding sorry. So from that record, again, it makes it abundantly clear what was going to happen to Jesus. So they must have known. And it seems, from the end of verse 23, the fact that they were sorry about it, that, well, they must have understood what was going to happen. However, just come and have a look at Mark chapter 9, because this, it's the same incident that's being recorded, but it gives a slightly different idea of what the disciples were thinking. So, Mark chapter 9, and we want verses 30 and through to verse 32. And they departed thence and passed through Galilee, and he would not that any man should know it. For he taught his disciples and said to them, The Son of Man is delivered into the hands of men, and they shall kill him, and after that he is killed, he shall rise the third day. But they understood not that saying, and were afraid to ask him. So there does seem to be some kind of deficiency or misunderstanding in their understanding, and for whatever reason they were too afraid to ask him about it. So yes, there are prophecies in the Old Testament, and yes, Jesus reveals unto them a number of times that he was going to be crucified and to be raised again, but still they didn't understand what was going to happen. So I'm no further on in helping you answering the question. Those are just a few ideas and a few thoughts based on some of the incidents in the Gospels. Just finally, let's just have a look at Acts chapter 1, because I mentioned at the start that everyone at this time was waiting for the Messiah to come, and that would have included the disciples. We know that at one point the people wanted to make him king to get rid of the Romans from ruling over them. Even just before Jesus ascends into heaven, it's a question that is being asked. So Acts chapter 1 and just verse 6, when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? So they were expecting their Messiah to come and to save them, and maybe that single-mindedness in what was going to happen, or what they wanted him to achieve, or wanted him to accomplish, led them to not understand the full message of what Jesus was going to come and do. So, Luke 9 verse 45, but they understood not this saying, and it was hid from them, and that they perceived it not, and they feared to ask him of that saying. So, I guess that, it says it was hid from them so they wouldn't understand what was going to happen. The reason for that, trying to prevent it. Yeah.